you haven't heard the news, Etsy is raising its transaction fees on April 11th. And on that same day, thousands of Etsy sellers are planning to go on strike. Let's take a look and find out what we know so far. Hey everyone, I'm Dylan from Marmalade, and today we're taking a look at what Etsy plans to do with 1.5% of our profits in 2022. Because that's exactly the percentage that Etsy is planning to increase their transaction fees come April 11th. Some Etsy sellers are not happy, and that's apparent by the strike that they're planning on the same day. Let's dive in. So Etsy is raising its transaction fees from 5% to 6.5%. For those of you that are counting, this means that Etsy's new fees are going to be 9.5% plus 45 cents. Here's the breakdown. The listing fee is 20 cents per listing. The new transaction fee is 6.5%, and Etsy's payment fees is 3% plus 25 cents per transaction. Add it up and you get the 9.5% plus 45 cents. So in other words, if you sell a product for $100 on Etsy, then you're looking at $9.95 worth of Etsy fees. And of course, this excludes any additional fees for Etsy offsite ads or any out-of-pocket shipping costs. But how do Etsy's fees stack up with other online marketplaces? Well, at the end of this video, we're going to take a look at what other online marketplaces are charging their sellers. So if that's something that interests you, make sure you stick around for that. But out the door as of April 2022, you can expect that about 10% of your revenue is going to go directly to Etsy. That's the cost of doing business on Etsy in 2022 and beyond. Do you think that's a fair number? Do you think it's too high? Let us know down in the comments below. Some Etsy sellers don't think it's fair, so let's find out why not. About a week ago, a petition popped up on coworker.org from an Etsy seller who is not happy with the price increase. The petition lists a few demands for Etsy, including canceling the price increase altogether. So let's take a look at what that petition says and what Etsy sellers are asking. The petition goes on to say that Etsy made bank over the pandemic in 2020. They more than doubled their gross marketplace sales. And in 2021, they kept those pandemic sales and broke their 2020 record by $3.2 billion. In June of 2021, they acquired Elo7, the Etsy of Brazil, to the tune of $217 million cash. And in July of 2021, they completed acquisition of Depop, a British fashion marketplace, to the tune of $1.625 billion, also primarily in cash. They followed up these record pandemic gains by turning around and sticking it to their sellers by raising their transaction fees by 30%. So whenever they list that they're raising their transaction fees by 30%, Etsy fees aren't going to be 30% of your profit. It's just a 30% increase. So it's still a 6.5% fee that Etsy is stating. It's not going to be 30% fee. One of the big reasons that the petition lists is that Etsy offsite ads pushes Etsy's advertising costs onto their sellers by charging sellers an additional 12 to 15% fee for each item sold through the offsite ads program. A 15% fee is charged to sellers who have never earned more than $10,000 in a year, and these sellers are allowed to opt out of the program, while other sellers pay 12% and are never allowed to opt out. So the petition is stating that thanks to offsite ads, Etsy fees are unpredictable expenses that can take more than 20% of each transaction. And they're saying that Etsy sellers have no control over how these ads are administered or how much of their money is spent on ads. The petition states that AI and bots are shutting down legitimate shops without giving them the opportunity to appeal their case. They then go on to list their demands on the petition. Number one, they want to cancel the fee increase outright. Number two, they want to crack down on resellers. They say that Etsy needs to provide a comprehensive plan for tackling resellers. Number three, they want a better support ticketing system. They no longer want Etsy sellers to have to wait for weeks and months on end to get a response to their support ticket and their request. Number four, they want to end the Star Seller program outright. They don't want a micromanaging and passive-aggressive tool to influence the seller behavior on the platform. Number five, they want to let all sellers opt out of offsite ads, not just those that sell more than $10,000 in a year. The petition goes on to state that Etsy was founded with the vision of keeping commerce human, which is Etsy's tagline that you've heard before. The petition says that Etsy doesn't have to be this way. Etsy can be a successful and profitable company while still treating its sellers fairly and ethically. If you want to check out the petition for yourself and read more about everything that Etsy sellers are asking of Etsy, we're going to link the petition down below in the description, so make sure you go check it out. Now that we've read from the exact petition and what Etsy sellers' demands are, let's take a look at the reason Etsy gives for why they're raising their transaction fees in the first place. So at the end of February, CEO Josh Silverman announced that Etsy will be raising their transaction fees this April. And in his announcement to the seller community, Josh Silverman stated the reasons why Etsy is planning to increase their transaction fees. Surprisingly, none of them had to do with inflation, but he did list 3 very specific reasons for why the fees will be increasing. Let's take a look and unpack exactly what those are. Number 1, Etsy wants to bring more buyers to the platform. One of the ways they plan to do this is by increasing the amount they spend on marketing in 2022 and beyond. In 2021, Etsy spent roughly $600 million on marketing alone. And in 2022, they plan on growing their audiences by spending more on TV commercials, billboards, paying influencers, as well as utilizing other marketing channels. So you might be asking yourself, increasing marketing spend doesn't sound like such a bad thing, and hopefully it'll bring in more shoppers to the Etsy marketplace. Well, that's what Etsy intends it to do. And I think we can all agree that Etsy isn't exactly a household name like Amazon. Not that anybody wants to see Etsy become an Amazon clone, but we should all want Etsy to be more of a popular online marketplace. We've seen more Etsy TV ads popping up over the years, but we can all agree that Etsy can be doing a little more to get their name out there and continue to engage shoppers into their online marketplace. One of the other things Etsy has said that they really want to do is they want to start increasing the percentage of male shoppers using Etsy. So on top of the current Etsy ads that you see on HGTV, you're going to start to see more and more Etsy ads pop up on networks like ESPN. And the bottom line is that Etsy wants to become more of a mainstream destination for shoppers in 2022. Number 2, Etsy says that they plan to give more support to sellers with their increased transaction fee. So they're saying that in 2022, they plan to grow their support team by more than 20%. And we know that some of you are thinking 20% of nothing is still an ineffective number. But jokes aside, we've seen that some Etsy sellers are pretty dissatisfied with the level of support that they receive from Etsy on a day-to-day basis. Whether sellers have technical questions about the back end of their shop, or if they have a customer dispute raised by a shopper, we all know that Etsy support can be a little lacking at times. And this is one of the very reasons that is listed in the petition that Etsy sellers wants Etsy to improve upon. Because Etsy already plans to do this with their increased transaction fees, if they can get it right, we should see less wait times on support tickets and a more understanding level of support when working on an issue. Ideally, we want to see less bots and less AI shutting down shops seemingly at random without any opportunity for an Etsy seller to state their case or appeal the decision. All in all, increasing their level of support will be a huge blessing to Etsy sellers that we know many of you out there have been asking for years now. With Etsy's planned growth and their support team, we expect to see faster email responses, expanded live chat features, and a more immediate help with urgent requests. And we hope it comes to fruition. Number 3, Etsy wants to give rule breakers the boot. Etsy is an online marketplace established on a foundation of handmade and vintage items. That's what Etsy started as, and that's one of the major examples listed in the petition of what Etsy sellers want from their platform. Sure, Etsy has expanded on it a bit over the years to allow digital goods and goods that maybe kind of skirt the line of being handmade, but at the very least, most products offered on Etsy have some level of individuality to them, and they're not necessarily just being cranked out by some factory somewhere. At least that's the vision of Etsy, and that's what the marketplace should remain as. Now with the fee increase, Etsy is stating that they plan to keep Etsy products unique. What we can take from this is that we hope that Etsy will continue to crack down on any shops that break the seller policies. We want to see Etsy crack down on shops that are breaking the guidelines. So all the shops out there that are skirting the lines of reselling or copyright infringement, you might want to watch your back come April because Etsy is planning a crackdown. Again, this is another major point that was listed in the petition that Etsy sellers want to see from their platform. Because Etsy is already listing it as something that is extremely important to them, we hope that with this fee increase, Etsy can deliver. Another thing that Etsy mentioned in their announcement for the fee increase is they're excited to be launching their new seller app. So if you're unfamiliar with this, we actually talked about that in a recent video, so we'll link to that right up here. But you should definitely go check it out if you want to learn more about the app. That should be coming any day now. If you go check it out in the App Store, it's actually got pretty bad ratings right now, but we're interested to see how this new app will help sellers with their day-to-day once it's fully rolled out. So there you have it. With Etsy's 1.5% fee increase, that's everything that you can expect Etsy to improve on this year. All things considered, if Etsy can get all 3 of these things right, then we think the price increase might not be such a bad thing. Out of the reasons listed in the petition for why Etsy should not increase their prices, 2 of their major points are included in the Etsy's announcement for why they're increasing prices in the first place. What's most important to us is we want to see more Etsy shoppers using the platform, because the more shoppers on the platform gives Etsy sellers more of an opportunity to sell their goods. And over the last 10 years, there's been a major cultural shift for more sustainable goods from individual small businesses. And we think Etsy delivers on that through you guys, the sellers. Without you guys, Etsy wouldn't be a marketplace in the first place. So let's hope that Etsy can indeed activate more shoppers to use their marketplace so your businesses can continue to thrive for years to come. All right, so at the beginning of this video, we mentioned that we'll be sharing some fees from other online marketplaces. So let's take a look at what those are. Amazon charges $39.99 a month plus 15% for every product sold. Now, if you have an Amazon Handmade account, they're going to waive that $39.99 monthly fee, but you'll still need to pay the 15% per transaction. Now, that's 5% more than what Etsy charges. Now, moving over to eBay, they charge final value fees plus 30 cents per transaction. Their final value fees are going to vary depending on the category and the item that you're selling, but it ranges from about 12.9% to 15%. Again, that's at least 3% more than the fees you'd find on Etsy. Facebook Marketplace is another spot that sellers are starting to use frequently, and they charge 5% per shipment or a flat fee of 40 cents per shipment that's $8 or less. So with Facebook Marketplace, you're looking at fees that are about 5% less than Etsy, although the Facebook Marketplace can be a bit of a pain to navigate online to try to find something that you want to buy. Bonanza is another marketplace that we know some sellers use. Now, they actually charge 3.5% per transaction or a minimum of 50 cents per transaction. You'd also have to pay the payment processing fee for whatever service you use, whether it be PayPal or Stripe or what have you. So you're looking at paying about an additional 3% plus 30 cents, give or take, depending on the platform you use. Still, that's about 5% less than the fee that you'd be paying on Etsy. Now again, Bonanza is definitely not a household name, so you're not going to have nearly as many shoppers using that platform. Now, ultimately, selling on Etsy or selling on another platform is entirely up to you and your business. You want to make sure that the platform you're selling on has a good pool of shoppers that use it, as well as fees that are not going to be too outrageously high that you're not going to make any money. Of the major players, eBay, Amazon, Etsy has the lowest fees, but it's still something to take into consideration for your business. With the cost of doing business on Etsy going up, gas prices increasing, inflation taking a toll on everything, now might be a good time to take a step back, really look at what your profit margins are, and ensure that you're continuing to make money for your business. If you're not sure how to calculate your profit margin, it's really easy to do. So all you need to do is take your revenue minus the cost of goods sold, divided by your revenue, times that by 100, and then you're going to have your profit margin. Now, profit margins are going to vary wildly depending on the type of product that you sell, but generally speaking, you want to keep your profit margin between about 5 to 20%. We think that you can keep your profit margin at least 10% without pricing yourself out of your individual market. Now, if calculating your own profit margin sounds confusing to you, that's okay. We actually went ahead and created a free calculator that you can use to figure out your individual profit margin for your business. So with Etsy's price increase, now is the best time to jump in and figure out how much money your individual business is making with every sale. We've seen that a lot of sellers are increasing their prices this year, whether it be because of Etsy's fees or just the overall inflation in the cost of goods to do business is going up. That's something that consumers as a whole are generally expecting this year. So don't be afraid to raise your prices in order to maximize your profits for the year to come. So let's ask you this. How do you feel about Etsy's transaction fee increase? Do you think Etsy can deliver on the 3 items that they listed for why they're increasing these fees? Do you want to see more shoppers using the Etsy marketplace? Do you want to see a better support staff? And do you want Etsy to crack down more on resellers? What are your thoughts on the petition and the planned Etsy strike? Will you be participating? Let us know down in the comments below, and we'll see what next week has in store for us. We want to thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and follow along on our channel as we navigate Etsy and the world of e-commerce moving into 2022. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.